Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I wanted to let you know that we're going to be recording this today, and we're going to post a link to our website. And also, we would love it if you would share our discussion and what we're doing with all your friends in your network. And we also wish to give thanks for your gift of time to us. At the end of the call, if it's okay with you all, we would love for you to turn on your cameras. I know for myself, I've been in a ponytail for about 120 days, but we would love to, if we have time, have a group photograph of all of us together. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Kyle Rahn. I'm President and CEO of United Way of Southern Nevada. And for those of you I haven't had a chance to meet all of you, I wanted to share a little bit about what we're doing and a little bit about myself, which you'll learn some things today. But it's important connecting with you as our partner, our donor. You're very valued, and it's incredibly important to United Way of Southern Nevada. So please think about your questions, because there is going to be a Q&A time at the end, and Kelly and I will field them. So, but I want to thank, I also want to acknowledge and thank, we have some board members on this call for United Way of Southern Nevada. We have Jerry Merritt, who is on our finance committee. Hi, Jerry. And then we have Tom Weiselick, who is our board member, and he's also the marketing committee chair. So we're very fortunate to have them not only on the call, but their leadership in our community, and more importantly, on United Way of Southern Nevada. So thank you so much, Jerry and Tom. I want to now introduce our moderator and our newest team member here at United Way of Southern Nevada, Kelly Shaw. She's Senior Vice President of Fund Development. She's got over 21 years of sales and marketing leadership experience in the for-profit sector, and she comes to us from Aristocrat Technologies. We feel so incredibly fortunate to have her on our team, and she brings an enormous wealth of experience and knowledge to United Way of Southern Nevada. So that's Kelly. She'll be moderating. And also we have next, I would like to introduce you Denise Tanada. She's our Vice President of Community Impact. Many of you probably know her. She's the former Executive Director of Children's Advocacy Alliance. And those who know Denise know she's a force for advocating for children's rights and for families in Nevada. She's truly a powerful influencer who has ensured that thousands have received assistance from our recently established Emergency Assistance and Community Needs Fund. So here we go. When we saw the significant needs resulting from COVID-19 and how devastating it was to our community and how we were being affected, we at United Way of Southern Nevada, rallied our resources to establish the EACN Fund, which is the Emergency Assistance and Community Needs Fund. We did it on March 19th. We held a press conference. To date, we've raised over $2.3 million and have provided 34 organizations with funding to help over 127,000 people with their food, shelter, rent, mortgage, and utility assistance. Very, very helpful. So please watch. We've got a special video for you to see how we've helped Southern Nevadans, from individuals, families, seniors, veterans, and children, keep a roof over their heads and food on their table through the COVID-19 pandemic.
The economic crisis in our community is the undisputed epicenter of America, hardest hit and projected to be the slowest to recover.
And with the funds provided through the United Way funding source, we get to help so many individuals in crisis right now.
The United Way was able to help us find the funding to provide 100% rental assistance, which is fantastic because what our clients would have been facing was homelessness in this time of uncertainty.
We have a client right now who lost her job and is just trying to literally keep a roof over their heads, and we're going to get to pay her rent this month.
We were able to receive funding through the United Way for an additional $40,000 to purchase food to help the additional 1,000 people we're helping every single month.
We're so grateful that we're able to give out the food that United Way has provided. We're grateful for the Project Reach and the rental assistance. You've really made a difference in our community during this crisis.
And right now, the COVID-19 pandemic has created urgent needs across our city for so many families. It's going to take all of us as one family to work together to get through this crisis and to help get Southern Nevada back on track once this pandemic has passed.
Without this funding, we would not be able to restock our pantry, and we wouldn't be able to provide that extra food to those additional clients.
So thank you to United Way and everybody that has funded the COVID-19 fund.
Thank you, United Way, for the opportunity to show up for even more members in our community.
Thank you, United Way.
Thank you, United Way.
We are all in this together.
We're in this together.
We're all in this together.
Because I know that together, Southern Nevada will be stronger.
We're all in this together.
We're in this together. We are all in this together.
Kyle, every time I watch this video, I get goosebumps and I get choked up. It's just it's inspirational. So the United Way of Southern Nevada Emergency Assistance and Community Needs Fund never existed before. Why did you create the fund? And how has it really played an essential role in helping our community through this super challenging time?
Well, it was early on, around February 17th, I became aware of COVID. I was in a discussion with an investment banker, several of them, and they began telling me what they were anticipating. So I then went, of course, being deeply concerned, I went to the board of directors of United Way of Southern Nevada and said, we have to have a plan. And I said, our plan, we should set up this fund, the EACN fund. So we did that. They agreed wholeheartedly. And then on March 19th, we launched the fund. We had a press conference, and with the support of NV Energy, Bank of America, the Wells Fargo Foundation, and Barclays were our first initial partners. So we've leveraged our 30 years experience in managing federal funding through FEMA's Emergency Food and Shelter Program, which is granted to United Way of Southern Nevada annually. They send us money to disperse in the community for food and shelter. So we had the delivery mechanism to use through that. So we chose to use the same delivery mechanism because it's expedient and efficient for our EACN fund. In addition, we assembled a local board made up of community leaders to determine how the funds are spent and distributed among the emergency food and shelter programs run by local vetted nonprofits and direct service agencies. In addition, those who were awarded the monies are required to report monthly on their outcomes, and you'll see some of those incredible outcomes shortly. We've also received, on top of all that, you saw a brief glimpse of it at the end of the video. We're going to show you again. We've got incredible support from companies and organizations from Southern Nevada and nationally. And I personally, from my heart, and I know the entire team at United Way and the board of directors wants to say a huge thank you. We call these partners who've helped build the EACN fund our COVID heroes, and they've stepped up to support our community through this difficult time. And you can see them. Just yesterday afternoon, we got another donation from another company that we'd never engaged with or ever heard of. So we're just so fortunate to live in such a giving philanthropic community. We've had a difficult time, but we have distributed $2.3 million, as I said, to 34 organizations to date. And the services provided by our 34 partners ensure that people have the resources to meet their basic needs. And those are as defined right now as food pantries, food cards, rent payments, utility bills, meal delivery, mortgage payments, and nights in shelters. And as you can see displayed, and for any of those that are on a call, dial in and not, you we'll have a link sent to you to see this whole video that'll be lodged on our website. But there's our 34 partners. So as of June 30th, our partners have spent $1.3 million in funds to help 127,000 people in need. So just look at the impact on the lives this fund is having and who it's supporting and how it is. In case people, like I said, are on the call or dialing in, I'm going to read these numbers, but there is a slide because we are having a profound impact on the people of our community who are in dire need of this assistance. We had $1 million so far to date. We've put out $1.7 million for rent and mortgage, which provides 994 months of assistance, $179,000 for food, equaling over 25,000 people fed, $25,000 for shelter, totaling 14,000 nights in emergency housing, and $54,000 for utilities, equaling 525 utility bills. So to date, mind you, remember, we have received $5.8 million of unmet funding requests. So with nearly $2.3 million raised, United Way of Southern Nevada needs the community support to help raise that $3.5 million and more to those who are lacking. And that number is only growing. Today I just saw 2 companies are furloughing and laying off more employees. So this fund has become critical to those in need. In order for our team to convince, this is my request of y'all. In order for our team to continue to provide support for the ever-growing needs in our community, I'm going to ask from my heart to yours that you consider supporting United Way of Southern Nevada through a gift. And if you feel moved to do so, you can go to uwsn.org/give. This is just for our general fund so we can keep doing the work we're doing.
So important, Kyle, the work that we're doing and the funds that we're talking about. So how have you seen people really step up and support this fund, and what kind of needs do you see that still exist?
Well, it's been incredible to watch the generosity of our community, specifically here in Southern Nevada. And there's some people on this, there's one person on this call that made a call to me with their boss, and they said, you know, we've seen the food lines, we've seen the needs, we've got to give money. And that's the kind of generosity that occurs from the heart and not the head. And that's what Southern Nevada is to me. It's one big, generous heart. But in particular, I received a letter from a lady with a $1,200 check that said, please accept my donation of $1,200 to the United Way Emergency Assistance and Community Needs Fund for COVID-19. Please help people who can't make their necessary and important payments. All my needs are met. I want to give the money that the government sent me to those whose needs are not met.
I just think that story, Kyle, just reiterates the generosity of our community, right? It's just a story of generosity. Can you also share a story about how this funding has helped our local community partners?
I'd love to. So individuals are stepping up, giving from $5,000 to $5,000 on our website for the EACN fund. So I can tell you tons of stories. Some of them make me cry, so I have to be really careful. So I'm going to tell you about Robert and Lena and their little one. They both lost their employment. This was the first time they'd ever faced anything like this. Between keeping a roof and food, they were in a pickle. And through the United Way Fund Southern Nevada, the EACN, and our work connecting those people in need with those funded partners, Robert and Lena received help paying their rent so they could keep the roof over their head. But while doing that, going through that process, then they learned about a financial literacy workshop to help prepare them for the future. And Robert and Lena have expressed their ultimate gratitude to United Way of Southern Nevada, which we all know in turn is really the donors who put money in the EACN fund. So the help came right, as they say, in the nick of time to this family. They stayed safe, they sheltered, and they had food and now they have a plan for the future. So again, one of the many stories, but Robert and Lena are just two of the people that have been helped of the 127,000 that we've supported so far. So through this EACN fund.
Yeah, Kyle, I just think, as we said earlier, it's just a devastating time right now. And to hear how, this situation has really helped Robert and Lena is quite powerful. So I'm sure you also have many more stories you can tell us throughout the call, but how have you stood in the center of the nonprofit response to COVID-19 and brought organizations together to provide solutions and support in our community?
Well, we at United Way got together, and it became clear when COVID-19 was going to have this massive impact on Southern Nevada and Nevada in general, which we also work with our sister United Way in the north, United Way, the Northern Nevada Sierra. But we in particular got a nonprofit call the next day after we launched the EACN fund, and we had over 200 nonprofits on it. And we began to develop partnerships and connection to meet the needs of our community and what they needed and what they didn't have. We also had community officials, government officials on each call to share where we were and what challenges they were facing, so we in the nonprofit sector could help. So during this time, we surveyed our nonprofit sector, and we helped identify the greatest needs of the local nonprofits and help them understand where help was being provided and where there were duplication and lack of services. So from our survey, we mapped in a visual representation, and it's on our website, all of the services that are provided geographically in our community. And we now call this the Nonprofit Asset Map. You'll see it on your screen. It's an interactive map. It's dynamic and it changes daily. It's a map that helps people find services like food, utilities, Wi-Fi access, employment support, first aid resources, and more in their neighborhood. Thousands of individuals are finding support through this nonprofit asset map. I have been told that to date, there's been nothing like this that existed until United Way stood it up. And you can find it at uwsn.org/COVID on the web, because that's where it sits on our website, and it changes every day. So to date, I'm proud to say that the asset map has been viewed over 47,000 times, with 246 nonprofits listing, with 363 distinct services provided. So it shows where the services are located and where there's a duplication, and we're also beginning to identify the gaps. So in addition, on Saturday, March 21st, really early in the morning, I got a call from the MOONRIDGE Foundation and the Elaine P. Wynn Foundation asking us, United Way, to be one of the 5 founding partners of the Delivering with Dignity program, which is a program of the MOONRIDGE Foundation, which we did. We helped provide volunteers. And we're very proud of them and their contribution to the community. I want to explain this program, why it was so important at the time. Delivering with Dignity identified that there were people who didn't qualify for any other food assistance program, or most importantly, were subject to COVID due to underlying health conditions and couldn't get out to get food. So they partnered with 5 partners, and what they do is they deliver healthy, balanced meals prepared by restaurants and delivered to the doorstep of those who were most vulnerable. And they're continuing to do it, and kudos to them. So one of the things I learned through this nonprofit call is that in Nevada, nonprofits are usually the first ones on the front lines providing the services, direct services. So in our weekly nonprofit sector meetings, I began to become really concerned as I learned that the nonprofits didn't have personal protection equipment. And it wasn't really because there were two reasons. One was a lack of financial resources, but if you'll remember back early, there was a lack of availability. So here are those who are on the front lines delivering services to help those who are most vulnerable, yet they're vulnerable themselves. So personally, it became my mission to find PPEs and masks for the nonprofits. So shortly after I embarked on this, I received a call from the governor's task force on COVID-19, and they asked if we could take on the responsibility and the considerable task of distributing 188,000 masks to nonprofits so they could continue their life-changing work, and also to small businesses so they can stay safe and stay open. So I want to share with you yet again, United Way stood up in about a day and a half a plan to distribute 188,000 masks across southern Nevada. And we did it when they arrived. It took 3 days. We had 42 volunteers and 4 of our team members who put this plan together, put it in place, and it was smooth as silk. And this is your United Way team working on behalf of our community.
I just have to say, Kyle, I mean, 188,000 face coverings in the distribution process, it takes tremendous manpower to do that. How exactly did you marshal all the resources and step up the plan and do all of that in a very aggressive period of time?
Well, first of all, we were running with our hair on fire, it's a common term I use, you'll hear me say. But after our first connection calls with the nonprofits on the nonprofit sector calls, we heard loud and clear they needed volunteers. And at this point, many of them would be virtual, but there was still are many that want to be out and feel safe, and we applaud that. So it's vital and important for the nonprofits to have volunteers. It's often what keeps their doors open and helping them meet the demand of the community. So we decided to use our resources that are essential to connect volunteers to meet the growing need. So it became really apparent to us that our existing volunteer platform was not robust enough to manage what we needed. So we moved quickly and swiftly and purchased a new volunteer platform. And here's where it gets really kind of fun. So when we called and said, okay, we want this platform to connect volunteers with our nonprofits and community partners, how long does it take to install? And they said, oh, it's 3 months. My team, our team, your team did it in 2 weeks. Yes, they did, because they had the sense of urgency. They knew how important it was to shore up the nonprofits. So this is an important piece of technology that we're providing to nonprofits to register their volunteer opportunities, make those available where the community can go and sign up. So we've become the matchmaker for volunteers and projects throughout Southern Nevada. So our new platform is called Volunteer Connect, and you can go visit it, and I really encourage you to, at volunteer.uwsn.org. And by the way, all these links will be given at the end of this presentation as well. But the entire purpose of this platform is Volunteer Connect is a resource for nonprofits and a resource for those who wish to volunteer, helping the nonprofit sector and all those who have a heart to give their time. So matchmaking for volunteers and meeting the needs of local nonprofits in our area and throughout the state. To date, we now have 63 agencies and over 976 volunteers are signed up and working and helping in our community, either virtually or on the ground.
I just find it such a powerful connecting platform, Kyle. And, you know, it made me think of Match.com, but it brings it to an entirely new level when you're sourcing volunteer opportunities within our community. But switching gears, but still staying on the impact of COVID-19, I think it'd be really important, Kyle, if you wouldn't mind sharing with everyone on the call, you know, understanding how COVID-19 has really impacted you personally.
Well, I find it ironic that I was terribly concerned for my fellow counterparts and nonprofits having the personal protection. I exercised extreme due diligence as we have at United Way of Southern Nevada, but as of June 22nd, I myself was diagnosed with COVID-19. and I'm in week 5. And I share this story for 2 reasons. One is precautions you have to be vigilant. You must be. 2, well, actually 3 reasons. Let me say this. Please understand what our nonprofit partners are facing on the front lines, our doctors, everybody. I know you know that, but our nonprofits in particular. But the other thing is I'm sharing my story because I was at high risk, very high risk. My physician told me 10 years ago, you get a bad flu, you're not going to make it. I have made it, but I am sharing this because if you know someone who feels as though they're at risk or that might be coming on, have them call me. But most importantly, the precautions we're all taking to keep each other healthy and safe, you got to do it. You just have to do it because I'm a living testimony. I'm in week 5 and it's been very hard. Last night CNN came out with the findings that there are long-term lasting effects, even though I'm negative now. You know, there's exhaustion, there's breathiness, there's what they call COVID brain, there's muscle aches, people have continued cough and damage to organs, and I believe I'm one of those people that's been pretty fortunate, but it's important to me that everybody know that I'm here as a resource having come through it. And I'd like to say I've come through it stronger. For my friends on the call, I'm not sure I have yet, but I'm getting there. You can't hold a good woman down. So
Kyle, every time you share that story, again, I appreciate you so much for sharing that from your heart. But honestly, I can say on behalf of everyone on this call that we're just so grateful that you are healthy right now and that you are on the road to recovery. And yeah, just grateful for that. So looking forward to the future and building a sustainable community, where do you really think we go from here?
Well, this incredibly dire time, the greatest thing we're seeing is our local organizations are working together like never before. And times like these call for that, and everybody's rallied and jumped in. And United Way is going to continue to promote that through our nonprofit sector and our outreach to our other fellow nonprofits. We're going to continue to bring nonprofits together and build successful collaborations. And we're not the only one who has to do that. But one of those that I personally witnessed through our nonprofit sector call every Thursday is this wonderful collaboration between 3 organizations who are doing a joint school supplies drive. It's the Public Education Foundation and Communities in School and Spread the Word Nevada. And they're all doing it together now. And this is it gives me chill bumps, like you were saying, Kelly. Things like that really make a powerful community. So United Way will continue with our community-based agenda, which I've not spoken about, but our community-based agenda is to break generational poverty through education from cradle to career and workforce supports. That places even more essential importance on the EACN fund that we've established because studies show that if people don't have a roof or food, they can't focus or worry about education. Their daily activity is focused on where will I sleep, where will I eat. So as a community, we cannot neglect the work of United Way of Southern Nevada has started in our Cradle to Career community-based agenda. So that is equally important as we go forward too. And during this time, I personally witnessed local organizations and nonprofits working together like never before, as I said. The power of collaboration, which United Way has been facilitating, has just been so incredible. And together we're all creating solutions for education, diversity, health, tax support, and we will help to provide a roof and food here at United Way for our communities most vulnerable while working with nonprofits to ensure they can meet community needs. We're continuing to recruit a force of volunteers that can lend a helping hand and help build capacity of our nonprofits. And we will continue to do even more to stand in the front line with our nonprofits and provide help to those who need it most. We know that the needs are only growing. They're growing so rapidly. So we will provide new and innovative ways for our donors and our partners and our corporate supporters to give back to the community. We're working on it all the time.
Awesome. Can you share with everyone on the call about the work that we're doing in the community to bring people together to fight for equality, diversity, equity, inclusion, those key initiatives?
I'd love to. The morning after the police shooting of the George Floyd protest downtown, I received a call from numerous entities asking United Way, because what does United Way do? It convenes, it sees the problem, and it brings the best minds in to solve it, that challenge or that problem. So we had begun doing that, but we will continue to work with our community partners and we do stand in solidarity with them. And we stand in solidarity with the NAACP and other partners who are actively working to dismantle systemic inequalities. We are driving conversations forward around social justice issues of diversity and inclusion and equality and race and gender. I'm really proud to share that United Way Worldwide is about to amend its bylaws to begin actively working within the communities they serve in this space, and that's huge. United Way of Southern Nevada has already begun the work on equity and inclusion and diversity through our board of directors, creating a diverse working environment, and we have recently formed a United Way of Southern Nevada it's an internal employee diversity committee. So united, we will and are creating change.
So how can people get involved, Kyle? How can people get involved and really make an impact and make a difference right now?
Well, given the indicators of the economic downturn of 2020, first they were saying it's going to be worse than the Great Recession. Some pundits are saying it's also going to be worse than the Great Depression. So now more than ever, we need your support. We know there's no dollar amount that we can put on human needs. While United Way of Southern Nevada is raising money for the EACN fund and its recipients, we have the need to raise funds to shore up our operations. As a partner, the best gift you could give us would be to our general operating fund at United Way of Southern Nevada. It enables us to continue all the work we're doing, and I've been referencing, and helping the 127,000 plus, there'll be more, which will be ever growing. We will need to generate support for broader, ever-changing long-term community needs, some of which we don't know yet. We are working to mitigate the impact of the virus, as no one knows the scope, what's going to be required to rebuild our community over the near and the long term. That is why I continue to encourage our team and other nonprofits to be nimble, adept, and act quickly and be fluid, just as we've done at United Way during this incredibly tenuous time. So we ask you to help us respond, recover, reimagine, and rebuild, and get involved today. So here are the ways in which you can get involved. So you can give at uwsn.org/give. Corporate donations, remember the COVID heroes? That's uwsn.org/COVID heroes. If you want to volunteer, it's volunteer.uwsn.org. So, but I'm going to say this, when all else fails, just go to our website. You can call me to give. If you want to give me your credit card, a lot of people don't like to write it down on things, or send us a check. It all helps, and it all goes to our work that we're continuing. So, Kelly, if it's okay, before we go to the Q&A, I want to recap our conversation. And I want to tell you that I would love to meet with each and every one of you virtually or in person. And thank you for your time, your effort, your energy, and your partnership and your gifts that you do give to United Way of Southern Nevada. And I also have another request, is that you'll start following us, if you're not already doing so, on our social media channels, because often we found in the very beginning of COVID, it was the fastest way for us to communicate to the community the immediate changes, the immediate needs, and it's been very effective. So we use it exponentially. So
awesome. So obviously, Kyle, as you said earlier, we want to move to the Q&A portion of our call today. So any of you on the call, if you'd like to type in any questions in the chat boxes, we'd love to have Kyle answer any of your questions or questions from the team. And while we're giving you time to do that, I do, Kyle, have a couple of questions that we received from a few individuals who could not attend our call today. And one of them is, seeing how the community is truly changing, how do you see the United Way of Southern Nevada transitioning to meet the needs of the community?
Well, as I explained earlier, when I first found out COVID was coming, there was no way to avoid it. We moved swiftly and set up the EACN fund, which Bank of America was kind enough to do for us. We solicited donations, and we still are every day. And it's an open for those nonprofits who wish to apply. It's a rolling application. So we did that. Our convening of the nonprofit sector weekly has been, I think, it's been life-changing for United Way, because we now know who needs help, who's doing things really well, and we're all just working together. Then this robust Volunteer Connect platform, it's where the nonprofits can go and put their projects, and we can match make you as a volunteer, but you got to sign up. So we're doing that. And then of course, we will always continue our course to break generational poverty through education, our cradle to career community-based agenda. And as a state and a community, it's really clear, it's abundantly clear that we have new problems to solve every day, as evidenced in our community as we're seeing this, the state legislature have their emergency session. So your United Way of Southern Nevada has provided the resources and the connections and the ability to help our community to rebuild and recover. And it's because of your help. So thank you very, very much.
So Kyle, I think it'd be great at this point if you could share a little bit of what's on the horizon. We have some really good events coming up, and I think if you could just share with the group what's on the horizon for us now at United Way.
I sure would. Well, first, we're going to have Stories of Hope. So August 17th is National Nonprofit Day. I don't know that I knew that, but it is, and we're going to celebrate them with stories of hope. So we are, with our nonprofit sector, getting stories of all the accomplishments, all of the things that would give people hope. I know myself, when this first started, I thought people need hope. So this is going to be a great day. And then we're United for Vegas Challenge. That'll be in September. And that is what you're going to watch for chances to win prizes and make a difference in September, but it's also going to be another time for us all to come back together like today and connect. And it's important to me that I keep connected with you all as donors and partners and friends. And then, as many of you might know, United Way has always had a day of caring. So ours will be Friday, October the 2nd. And this year we're going to incorporate new ways to get engaged and make a difference while social distancing. And then, of course, as I spoke to you about Volunteer Connect, join us there, make a difference, sign up. Or if you're on another organization's board, make sure they're putting their volunteer projects on it for us.
Great ways to connect, Kyle. Thanks. And I think that we want to talk a little bit more about how United Way is really that convener, as you've referenced, and helping nonprofits get volunteers, but also thinking about our community-based agenda. I just thought maybe you could share a little bit about what we're doing to stand in the center and really build a collaborative effort in the community.
Well, I think by donating and giving to United Way of Southern Nevada, your gift continues to build sustainability and broadening the power of our work the nonprofit convening, helping nonprofits get volunteers, but we cannot forget and still ongoing our community-based agenda, as I said, breaking generational poverty through education for generations to come. This creates economic stability. It creates a community that people would want to move to, especially companies, when they have an educated workforce. So one of the things I'm going to tell you that probably will sound unusual, if you have a favorite cause, a favorite nonprofit, give now, because we're all challenged with capacity. In other words, operating. That's why I keep speaking about the general operating fund for United Way. So I encourage you to give. But by giving to United Way of Southern Nevada, together with your help, we can overcome this crisis. And we can't do the work alone. We can't. We are in this together. And it's the strength of all of us working together that drives real systemic change. We've been responding to Southern Nevada and needs for more than 30 years, and we've proven that we can do so during this time. Yeah, COVID-19 is a new challenge for us, but we've risen to it. We're up for it, and this is exactly why United Way was built. So the tough work that will be needed for our community to recover is the very work United Way does every day through our community-based agenda. We prepare children for success in school, work, and life. We empower individuals to get well-paying jobs that offer long-term stability, and we connect families to resources to help pay bills and stay in their homes. And we can only continue this vital work through your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you so much. I wanted to move into the chat box and see what kinds of questions are coming out. Kate, thank you so much. She gave a big shout out, Kyle, for the nonprofit sector Zoom meetings that have been hosted, and just thanking you for convening all the nonprofit partners. Thank you, Kate, for that shout out.
I love Kate. Kate is the new, for those of you who don't know, she is the new executive director of Girls on the Run, which is a program that United Way of Southern Nevada helps fund. She's a funded their organization's a funded partner, and they work specifically with middle-aged girls, anti-bullying, and helping them overcome some of the obstacles that young women face as they grow older. So we're happy to have you. What's your question, Kate?
She said she didn't really have a question. She just was commenting on her appreciation, right, Kate?
Well,
yes.
Thank you, Kate, and welcome.
Thanks. Awesome. We have a question from Gretchen with JP Morgan Chase about the volunteers.uwsn.org site and how much it's grown since she first saw it in May, and how great it is to see the depth of connections that it's making. She really wants to understand United Way of Southern Nevada's involvement in the Hispanic Task Force, and specifically work being done in sub-communities being the hardest hit by COVID right now.
That is a phenomenal question, Gretchen, and hello, by the way. I am going to specifically let Denise Tanata, our Vice President of Community Impact, speak to all the work that's going on in there, in those sub-entities. So Denise?
Thank you, Kyle. I'm happy to address that. I believe Janet Quintero is on the call as well, so she wants to jump in and do that, but if she's not here, I'm just trying to look. That has come up as a question. In fact, in response to the nonprofit sector calls, Janet Quintero, who's our Director of Government Relations and Community Affairs, worked with a group to establish a separate call for Spanish-speaking organizations. So I believe there's about 20-25 groups on that are now meeting weekly or every other week now to talk about issues specific to the Hispanic community. We're also, through the EACN fund, working with that group and others to address some issues and barriers, specific issues with accessing resources. We've scheduled meetings with Nevada 211 and other groups, community partners, to try and address those needs. So definitely involved and engaged. Janet, if you are on and want to add anything, I'd invite you to do that.
I don't think she is. I looked for her.
Okay, apologize for that. But yes, definitely something that we're aware of and involved with, and anything else that we can do to, you know, to support those efforts in our community, we're definitely willing to do.
Thanks, Denise. Kyle, I don't have any other questions right this moment in the chat box, but do you want to open it up to the group, or
yeah,
have anything else you'd like to share?
May I answer any questions, or my team?
Hi, this is Bonnie from Unshakable. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can. We can.
So I was looking at, we work with women coming out of trauma to get them into careers. So obviously some of our current client base and new clients are going to be coming along challenged with working in a double-digit unemployment market. So I guess my question would be, do you see a transition from the immediate focus of your emergency assistance from shelter and food to more longer-term job placement and for those who've been displaced?
I'm so glad you asked that. Denise, jump in here with me. So when this came rolling at us, or roaring at us rather, COVID being this, Denise and I specifically talked about the fact that there were going to be needs that would develop later on. You've highlighted one of them. So Denise, why don't you speak to how we're looking at addressing this?
Sure. So as Kyle mentioned, you know, with the establishment of the fund, we really wanted to make sure that we were focusing in on some of those very immediate basic needs of food, shelter. We have gotten requests from some organizations with requests that are broader. So we know that there's an increased need for mental health services, access to basic health care for individuals as well, particularly as they're dropping off of employer-based care. Child care has also come up as a big issue, particularly now with the decision to go fully online with CCSD. But definitely looking at too is those workforce transitions. You know, we've had some conversations. We have a lot of entertainers on the Strip who are now completely out of work, and we're not sure how long they're going to be out. So even looking at, are there opportunities for them in other industries, and how can we address that? So we are about at the place right now, and particularly as we've seen an infusion of some of the federal funds, like the $30 million, I believe, that came through Clark County that just opened up on Monday for rent and mortgage assistance, where we feel we're in a good place to start having some conversations about adjusting the protocols for our fund. So we haven't fully developed those yet, but we're in the process of doing that. I think Kyle will agree that we will keep the Emergency Assistance and Community Needs Fund available as long as it's needed. I know Kyle and Kelly and the whole team are working every day to get more funds into that account. So we've been fortunate. We've had 4 allocations of funding, and we'll continue to do that, and we'll make some adjustments as some of those other funds are available as well.
Great question.
Who's it best
Thanks,
to reach
Bonnie.
out to? Sorry, who is it best to reach out to just get connected with somebody at United Way to just get us on the list to be able to be there when you're ready to transition or add more services?
Bonnie, that would be me. I'll put my name, email, and phone number in the chat box for you.
Great, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions? So with that being said, from my heart to yours, from the entire Southern Nevada community, as we all come together, thank you for your time. Thank you for your financial support. Thank you for your commitment to making our community better, stronger, healthier. And I appreciate each and every one of you and value you. Again, if you'd like to give to help United Way of Southern Nevada in our general fund, you can do so at uwsn.org/give. We look forward to connecting with you all in September as we launch our new United for Las Vegas Challenge. But I have to say something that I always say when we hang up from the nonprofit sector call. Stay safe, stay protected, stay healthy, and I love all y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.